Hello, everyone. Welcome to Just Gaming Tingz episode 37. And welcome again. We bring you as an all queer perspective on video games, gaming news, nerdy stuff every Saturday live on twitch.tv/slash Just Gaming Tingz at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then potentially the next day or as soon as possible on YouTube and your favorite podcast services. My name is Koga Jangles. And with me, I have Jam.
Hi, hello, I'm here.
And we have Project Ruby.
Hello, here we are. 37 episodes. Like when you said that, I was like, "Oh my god. we really
We are really
we're really
we
doing
really
that."
out here. We made
Right.
this decision. When did we
37
first
weeks.
decide this?
Was it like
When-
September? October,
Ooh,
or something like that?
September, October? Like
Time. Yeah. We missed exactly 1 week because we were reacting to E3 stuff. But still, 37 episodes is huge.
I mean, technically, we didn't miss a week because we was still here.
We were live. That's
here.
true. We were posting. We were doing all the stuff. Oh my goodness. It's been a blast, everybody, honestly. Thank you so much for watching and listening to our episodes, to our clownery, to our rants. Which, I might as well just get us started with some clownery.
go ahead.
In a good
Do
way.
it.
In a good
Clownery.
way. Because rumor has it there's a Final Fantasy IX animated series coming to us. So apparently there is a studio in Paris that has striked a deal. Struck.
Stroke.
Well,
That's the word. We figured it out.
we got it. You
We're
know,
great minds.
I think it struck a deal, but I can't help but laugh at the word
'Cause
stroke.
Sometimes my
Well.
accent comes out in ways that makes us laugh, and we love to see it. So yeah, there is apparently an animated series adaptation of Final Fantasy IX for apparently the target audience is 8 to 13-year-olds. We all know that's not the only target audience that's going to be tuning in for that. Apparently the series is going to begin production towards the end of this year, and it should begin airing in 2022. Very, very exciting. I mean, I will try to pull up some footage as we are like talking about this of Final Fantasy IX for people who are not familiar with it. But in my humble opinion, if there's a Final Fantasy series that if there's a particular game in the Final Fantasy series that could use or that it would make sense to have an animated series, I feel like Final Fantasy IX would be it. Just because it's already kind of like, it's not really cartoony, but the characters are like chibis, and it's probably the most like children friendly visually, right? There may
could agree with that.
there may be themes that are maybe a little bit heavy that I'm very interested to see how they're gonna adapt to, an audience. But yeah, what do y'all think?
I think I agree with that. I feel like I feel like Final Fantasy IX kind of is in that space to have that kind of storytelling in terms of like an animated series. And I think Final Fantasy is one of those ones where you could kind of do that in general because like there is this like long meandering story that kind of goes along through each game, like within each game, that allows you to kind of have this like. And I think animated series really benefit from the length of them if they're really long. And so I think that could be good. I would be interested to watch it. I think I could probably get more into Final Fantasy as an animated series than I have been able to get into it as a video game series. And like you said, the character models are kind of right for that, and I think that's the big thing. What do you think, Koga?
I think it's pretty interesting that they're going with this one. I know they've tried to like do like an anime before. There was Final Fantasy Unlimited, and that never heard the most positive things about that. But I think if they're going like off of a game that people already like know and it's been, from my understanding, been very well received, I think it should be able to work very well. I unfortunately have not gotten around to playing Final Fantasy 9 yet. I have it, so I get 50% of the points. But I'll probably watch it maybe like I guess after I play it, or it depends. Maybe before. It's just that I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I do think like I like that they're going to go with this one, and from what I've seen, at least out of the designs of the characters and whatnot, if they had to pick one, I think that would be just the best one. That would be a bit
Yeah.
more kid friendly between the ages of 8 and 13. So I think with this one, they've probably one of the better choices that they could have went with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also very refreshing to see a game get represented from the Final Fantasy series that is not like either a brand new game or 7, if we're gonna be honest, because that game, definitely, I get it, we understand why Final Fantasy 7 is so popular and why it's always so representative of the series. I feel like there's so many people that whenever you say Final Fantasy, they just, even if they don't think of Cloud, they think of the huge ass sword, they probably think of the belts, they think of the zippers and all of
The
that.
long hair, Sephiroth.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So it's exciting to see like a different series. It's definitely one of those like headlines that I was like, ooh, hold on a second. This is actually pretty interesting. We're doing something different. So I just hope they get it right as far as like the animation style. I hope they don't really, like tone it down too much, because I think that's always like a little bit of a fear whenever people try to cater to a younger audience. They try to like, water things down to a point where it's like, okay, there's really no content here. Like you just think that children aren't capable of understanding a story, which is not the case. Especially if the target audience is like teens and stuff like that. I think it could do really well. I also wonder, I think a part of its success or lack thereof would probably have to do with distribution. Because if this comes to like a Netflix situation, then I can see it be like huge. But it depends on how they go about that. So I'm very, very intrigued.
I feel
Put
like
it on
animated series have been doing well on Netflix, so that might be where they target it, right? Because Netflix has been great for that recently,
Right.
especially video game related animated series. Sorry, Koga, you were gonna say something, and I.
Well, you're fine. Oh yeah, I do hope that they do put it on Netflix, because Netflix seems to be good at just putting them all there and not having to like wait like a week or 2 weeks, something like that. So just one thing I liked about when they do Castlevania, which is probably one of the only things that I watch because I don't watch a lot of Netflix, is that when it's up, it's all there, so I can just sit and watch the entire thing. So I think if they put it on there, that'd be great if people just want to just watch the entire thing, maybe in one sitting and things like that. But I mean, if they put it on television, which I'm not sure, I don't watch much television. If they're going to do it weekly, just please don't skip a week because of something like a dog show or something, please. 'Cause I've had to experience that nonsense, and I'm like, turn this off.
Oh no.
I get that. I get that for
That's
sure.
like one of the most disappointing things from like, when you have to watch like something on TV, on actual TV, and you're like, oh yeah, I just sat through all these commercials and then it's not gonna air because of something that happened. It's so tragic.
Yeah.
Especially because sometimes they don't make it clear that it's not coming on that week. They're like, it comes on, the other thing comes on, and then it was like, oh yeah, instead of your regularly scheduled programming, here's a dog competition, and I'm like, I don't need that, please and thank you.
Right? So rude. So rude. Yeah, shall we move on to our next story?
Yes, we can. Which one do we want to do?
Ooh.
I think
What are we
let's
in the mood
go into.
for?
We had some good news, so let's do one that's like real bad.
Okay.
Balance it out, and then we'll go back to good.
That sounds
Maybe.
good to me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could talk about the problematic nature of America. So there was a press event for the new Sniper Ghost Warrior game, Sniper Ghost Contract 2. And it was, how you say, very problematic. So they invited the press to come, and they usually, for these press events, for the announcements of some of these games, especially like war games, they typically take them to places where they can kind of like reenact some of the things and play games and those kinds of things, which it's already weird taking people places to shoot guns, right? We do it digitally. Real guns, a little problematic sometimes for me personally. But basically, one of the writers basically said it shows how much America tries to make you hate Arab peoples. And it was very like going through the article and seeing the setup that they had and all of that. Like they had tables with like fake rotting meat, making it seem like these people eat filth. There was a Trump 2020 the revenge tour flag, and it just left a bad taste in the person's mouth. And they were like, I wanted to leave, but I stayed so I could write a story about how awful it was. And that's pretty much all this story was about, was how much it put um left a bad taste in their mouth and made it very much clear that like when it comes to games about war, American developers stick with the idea that like Arab peoples are like inhumane or like not really good people. And it's like it just I get why they felt the way that they did. Like look at this. Like why? Why?
Yeah, there's no logical reason to do that, because I
To
think
do
when,
that.
especially when you think about like a press event that has like an interactive factor to it, you probably would think of like something that's like fun,
Yeah.
something that's like a good experience for everybody, something that wouldn't potentially be triggering.
Yeah.
Um, and this is like, what is your target audience? Like, because it's one thing to be like, okay, we're doing this in a game, and it doesn't have any real life consequences because it's a game. But then when you kind of take things and you make an event that is very like this, you're kind of bringing the game's problematic nature into real life, and then you can make a comment about how that has an impact. And I don't know if they made a comment of, because usually people's responses to this is like, oh, this is just to show how bad it is or whatever. But I just I don't really think that this is appropriate. It's not appropriate to begin with to have games that have these themes that are kind of like, anti-Arab propaganda or
Yeah.
anti literally most cultures. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like, ooh, why? No. Who thought about that and was like, you know what? This is a great idea. I'm sure everyone's gonna have a great time.
Yeah.
Whoever that
I
was, fire them.
I have no idea. And the revenge tour? What? What?
Ooh.
What?
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know. I really don't. I don't. You would think again that someone there'd be like, this isn't a good idea, and then it blows up, and then they're like, oh, this wasn't a good idea. They did issue an apology, um, but I mean, it's kind of too late for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, it should be like, you can't be making
Like
games
what
like that.
when it's like again, like it's already problematic that like we already deal with the fact that like every war game since 2011 focused on Middle Eastern countries and Middle Eastern and Arab peoples, right? That was like the focus of any war game that came out during that time. If a war game didn't focus on that, it was like, oh, thank you, right? Now it's just like at this point we're in 2021. Can we like Battlefield's going with Future War and like trying to do something different, and we still
Yeah.
have people doing this at this point, right? Like it's like even I think some of the bigger people, and like I've never played the Sniper Ghost series, so I don't really know much about it, but like at least in even the bigger ones that like were very bad for doing that have figured out that they need to move on past this, and you have not. And like I'm just kind of I'm it's mind-boggling that you would still be doing this in 2021. But also, it's 2021 and people don't want to believe that we're still in the middle of a panorama. So, you know what?
You know.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's time to like just move on from that. I mean, you can still make games like we know like shooters of that nature, but
Yeah.
it's time to like move on from that type of thing. And
Well,
it's doable. Like people like I don't know like
people are doing it.
I'm not a Battlefield person, but that trailer was kind of lit, and at least they're
Yeah.
doing something different. And I'm like, you can do that without doing stuff like that. Like we don't need to be making games about that, like making it to where like we're just trying to make another country, another race be like the bad guy. We don't need
Truth,
another one like in the past
yeah.
of World War II and all that. Like fuck, we've been there. Like let's
Right.
move on and do something different.
And I think especially with like shit is still going on. It's not like we're talking about what if this war happened or what if this thing happened. Like it's very much not public information necessarily, but like it's in the news everywhere, like, the tensions between like America and the Middle East and stuff like that. And it's like why would you want to like be like, oh, you know what would be a fun theme for a fun video game, like a very serious and real thing that's going on in real life with real people that are still going through these struggles, right? It's like, why
Yeah.
would you want to do that? Like, why would you want to perpetuate that stigma? It's not like you're playing as the people who are usually antagonized, and you're kind of reclaiming that, or you're kind of like seeing their perspective or raising awareness for a specific thing. It's like, no,
Hmm.
you're just kind of like perpetuating. You're just kind of being like, oh yeah, you just I don't know how someone can like watch the news, turn off their television, and be like, it would be fun if we took that and we put that in a game. Like I don't I
Like
it's so weird to me.
exactly. And this is why my war game of choice will be Halo, because they constantly are fighting an alien
Mhm.
species out in space, right? They're like, oh, like it's this thing of like general human survival, right? Like, and like, even though like at the end of the day, I think war is bad, but like you're not doing this thing of pitting other humans against each other. Like most of those games try to make it to where human beings are the same, right? And everyone's together, and everyone's just kind of living, and then there is an outside alien threat. Like that's the kind of thing, right? It's like we're talking about general human survival, and that's the point of it,
Right.
as opposed to like a lot of these things where it's like you're telling me this is about general human survival when in actuality we know that this is off of like need for control of resources and not
Right.
really just like so it's very, very weird.
Yeah, like the only way I think I would be more okay if they did maybe like between like this and another country, if you could play like both sides, because there's usually always is you hear one side of the story and they'll
Right.
Yeah.
always try to make that one like this is the good one, but that's not always the case. So what if it was a game where there's like two sides of a story and it really just comes down to, you know, what it is they believe in, and it may not be that one is really good over the other. It's just that there's just different variables, and one may believe that they are, but the other may believe they are, and you get to see their perspective, and not it just being this one's bad, we're good. Because some
Yeah.
it's how it is in a lot of cases. Like a lot of things on war, it's like it's not always just one
It's not black
side
and
fighting
white.
in there. Yeah, it's not.
Right.
It's usually there's some other stuff, some underhanded stuff that you find out, later on. That's why they don't want you to know nothing.
Right.
That
Absolutely.
that
Yeah. And again, it's like there's something like very weird and like icky about like building an entire set out of like that's supposed to kind of mock slash represent like, oh, this is how they live. This is how,
Right.
we're putting you
Yeah.
in that environment. It's like you're not creating or recreating a fictional world. You're literally just badly portraying a different culture. You're
Yeah.
antagonizing a different culture, and that's not okay.
Like, and I've seen like, and that's the thing. Like, I know that these type of press events for like these types of games exist and have existed for a while, but like some of them I've seen and heard like this, like, oh, they took us to play paintball and we split up and we played, and they like had like replicas of the guns in the game as like paintball guns. Like to me,
That's cute.
that's the way to do a press event, right? And then you show them the game, right? That makes more sense than like, oh yeah, our game has this, and we're going to put you in that environment and tell you how the bad guys live, and then you're gonna fight them.
Ugh.
What?
Ugh. Yeah. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Definitely let us know in those comments in the chat as we're doing this live for sure. We would love
Sorry
to
to bring it
hear-
down, y'all.
No, you didn't do it. They did it. We're just talking about it. Let's bring it back to some good stuff because I do see some
Positive
potentially good news. Who wants to get into those?
I could take this one.
Yo.
All right, so Castlevania, the Game Boy Advance collection, which is Circle of Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, and Aria of Sorrow, could potentially be a thing. So there has been a rating in the databases in Australia and South Korea of these potentially, being a thing. These were games that, of course, came out on Game Boy Advance back in like the early to mid 2000s, and it took after the Symphony of the Night, which became the whole Metroidvania and how that became a thing, and it was very successful. So the Game Boy games did all that. I unfortunately didn't play these because I wasn't into Castlevania yet. That's another story. But if you're someone who did like these, it's not confirmed, right now because Konami hasn't said anything because Konami, but there is a possibility that there could be a collection of these coming up, and I would honestly like to see that. They did release a collection, was it 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, with the older ones, with Castlevania 1 through 3, Bloodlines. Some of them was on Game Boy Color, well, Game Boy and Game Boy Color, whichever. And that came out on like all the platforms, and then also of course on PC. And then they eventually made an update to where there was the Japanese versions as well, because some may have like a few minor differences, but it was nice to see that there. So for them to make another collection, I would like to see that. I would also like for Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood to come to PC too, because they released that like on PlayStation exclusively. Don't know why y'all did that to me. But yeah, I would definitely be okay with that, and then maybe to get a re-release for the ones that were on DS that, of course, also followed the Metroidvania style. Like if you like Metroidvania style, all these games were it for you. And there was like at least 6 of them in total.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm very excited for this because I like the Castlevania game series. They're a lot of fun. I think it's gonna be like. I hope that this comes, and like the Metroidvania like style is also for me. So like, yes, 100% yes. Please give it to me now.
Yes. I am the one person in the podcast that hasn't played a Castlevania game. I think I've played maybe a demo on PS3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a game series that it looks very visually appealing. It's definitely one of those that are, I just happen to not have played it, you know what I mean? But I would like to see it. I would like to give it a try. I would like to, maybe, watch someone play it first and see their, maybe one of you play it first, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, let me get into it. I love that we're at a time in gaming, and I feel like we've said this so often, but I love that we're at a time in gaming where, like, preservation is becoming, like, a thing, where, like, we're getting these, like, older games that were seen by so many people as like iconic or like very critically acclaimed, and they're kind of making a comeback, and it's so exciting. And it also makes you think that maybe if this does well, would there be interest for another game that's kind of in that style, either it be a Castlevania game or like maybe just a new series in general. You never really know, right, where they come from. Is this a market test? Is this fan service? Either way, it's a good thing, I think. Like, even if the game doesn't sell super well, the fans that have been waiting for it, they're going to be super happy about it. So it's a win-win situation, I feel. It's just so exciting. And Spin is saying it in chat. It's like PS1 and GBA graphics are kind of coming back, and it's really cool to see it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Like that we've gone to as the graphical processing of consoles and PCs has gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. Like, yes, we're getting people who want to go ultra realistic and like beautiful scenes and the ultra realistic style, but then we have people who are saying, "Oh, I just want to make something that's just like pretty artistically," and that could be with like 8-bit art or cell shading and those types of things, and that's expanding a lot. And like that's what I'm here for in gaming is people using it as that art medium that really it's does that's what it is. It's someone with art telling a story that you get to control. And I'm so happy that we're seeing that again.
Yes.
Yeah, I think with these games, I mean, there's definitely interest. It's just that Konami weren't releasing these, and so we ended up
Yeah.
getting Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and they also was it Circle of the Moon as well. Circle of the Moon was more so like like the old school 2D Castlevania games, and then the Ritual of the Night was more like Symphony of the Night. It was made by the same person who made those games, just that Konami wasn't, Konami was being Konami.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, there's definitely, a want for these games, and plus Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is getting a sequel, so it's like, yeah, if
Yeah, people want
Konami,
this.
yeah,
People want
people
it.
want this, and Konami has just been Konami. So I'm glad that they're re-releasing these. I'm glad that they're coming out on more platforms because I mean now we don't have to worry about like them being lost in time again. Especially if they come out on PlayStation that does backwards compatibility now, finally, and Xbox that does it, and then of course, as soon as it comes to the Switch, please don't let the next Nintendo console not be backwards compatibility. I will cry.
Oh my god.
But
Let's not do
the
We
that.
breathe. We
Yeah,
breathe.
right. We're like,
yeah, so but to see a lot of these games, start to come back, I think it's very good. And now they're on platforms that support backwards compatibility, so they'll actually be there and not
Stick
be like
around.
a
Yeah.
pain to go find. Like, all right, you have to go buy an old console to find it, or go on the seven seas.
hmm.
Well.
So you got to do what you got to do. Listen, sometimes that nostalgia feel can only be achieved in certain ways,
Yeah,
and
put it out there.
you just got to do it.
Yeah, like people want to buy it, so put it out there. That's the thing that I've always said about all these games that people like always say like older games and people go and like pirate them. I'm like, look, people will buy these if they put them out there.
Yep.
It's just that you don't give them a way to do it. Like if you put it there and make it reasonably priced, people will buy it. It's been shown almost every time. Like they put this out there, this comes a thing, people are going to buy it. I will buy it. Will I get to it? I have no idea, but I'll buy it
But I'll
because I want
pay
this
it.
to continue to be a thing.
I might buy it and never play it because it's way down on the list, but I will buy it.
Yeah, because I want
Exactly.
them I want them to know that yes, this is something we want. Do it.
Do it. Do it now. Give it to me
Right.
now. Well, we're circling right around onto some, I guess this is not like horrible, but
This isn't like the second story.
it's it's definitely not good news
Well, it's
for
not good
anyone
news for
in
some of the people.
right. It's not good news for people involved. So we have a little story. There was a Pokemon Sword and Shield lawsuit, and the Pokemon Company has officially settled. So what happened was there was going to be a Pokemon Sword and Shield strategy guide that I guess some photos of it leaked online before the game came out. So which in turn now they have to pay the Pokemon Company $150,000. Each person, by the way, each person who was a part of leaking the documents. Um, so this is all from court documents that came out recently, and so yeah, apparently. So what happened was there were some screenshots of a Discord chat, and then they realized that the people who took the photos were people that were working for the strategy guide company, which makes a lot of sense. Sometimes that's how they do it. A lot of the times. and they just wanted to share it on Discord, but then Pokemon Company basically alleged that even though it's a Discord server, it's like a worldwide server, because technically it's not like it's like a super like a private server, so anyone could have access to it. And obviously Discord themselves have access to all of the information that is posted on there, so definitely not something that the Pokemon Company wanted. And yeah, it's basically like, it's not cute. There was a hashtag Game Freak lied, due to all of the leaks that happened, and then obviously, more leaks took place, and the game ended up
Yeah.
leaking. It was like a whole thing. Um, yeah, it's just messy.
Yeah, it's a little messy. It's weird because I know that the Pokemon Company is huge, right? And so it's like them suing the little guy for this leak. It always sucks because you're like, okay, well, this person doesn't have the money that the Pokemon Company has. But then you also think about it and you're like, this is someone's like game that they've been working on and they want people to see when it's done and whatever the case may be, right? And
Right.
they haven't released a preview of it because they didn't want someone to see it before it was done. And when someone releases it, one, it builds hype, and then people get upset because then they're like, well, it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be from the leaks. It's like,
Right.
yeah, but a leak is not the game, right? It's not the thing. And so it then tarnishes your name as a company as well, because then people have expectations of you. And so it's always weird because I'm just like, if anybody, I think Koga and I were talking about this right before Ruby joined us and we were like, if somebody asked me to pay them $150,000, I'd be like, in a few hundred years, maybe. I don't have that much money. I don't know when I'll ever have that much money, right?
Right.
But it's just like, it's like crazy because like this person works for the publisher of the strategy guide, right? So they're probably not making $150,000 a year, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like that amount of money is so ridiculous. And what is that going to fix for the Pokemon Company? Nothing. You know,
I
you
mean,
could have just, I don't know.
the only thing I can think of, if it's just they want to like put it out there, is that this is something we're not going to tolerate, because I
Yeah.
don't like. Do you all really expect to get that? What that's a total of $300,000. Like, you really think you're going to get that from them? I mean, I'm not sure how this whole process would go. Like, when you owe that much money, because I don't. I hope not to, but it's like, I don't know. I don't think you be getting that in my lifetime. And I mean,
Right.
I kind of get both sides to it, because
Yeah.
like when it's not like things get leaked all the time and nothing really gets done about it. But the thing is, with Nintendo, they were like in some hot water with the whole National Dex situation and how people were feeling about the game that was coming out. So I can see like why they feel that might have hurt it a little bit. Though, if I have to be honest, they did that to themselves. I'm not going too much into that, but it's not like they were 100% honest about everything. So, but I can get why, if a
Yeah.
strategy guide comes out and then they release, you know, certain parts of it publicly, why that would be an issue. But I mean, people do that all the time. So I'm not sure if it's just because if things were just, if they were having, issues with people in the game, or was it to send a message, or was there something, particular that they did with this leak? I'm not exactly sure. But I mean, I don't know how they plan on getting all that money. I'm honestly curious, because that's a lot,
Yeah.
and it's not like they're poor. Well, the people who are owe the money, they might be, but like the Pokemon Company, no. Pokemon is
Yeah.
like the most. It makes the most money on the planet.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all don't really need that. In fact, y'all should have put that into other things in the game. But
Hmm.
Well, look, I as much as I'll give the Pokemon, the Pokemon Company is crap because they do a bunch of stuff they shouldn't be doing, but I'm gonna blame Nintendo for not building a console that could hold all of the stuff that probably should have been in that game, because because the leaks of the game did have a bunch of stuff in it, and I think Pokemon Company was like, oh, and Nintendo was like, oh, it's gonna slow down the console too much. You got to take half that out. Is what I think happened. So like, I blame the Pokemon Company for just being greedy and wanting money, and being like, oh, we don't want people to do these things anymore. But then also, I blame Nintendo for like for the game part of it, right? Like the game wasn't what
Mhm.
people expected, and I don't think it was Game Freak. I think it was that the Pokemon Company and Game Freak tried to build a bigger game than I think the Switch could handle at the time.
I mean, it would depend on what was taken out. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know what was exactly because, like, I'm gonna be honest. After like the a whole thing, like with how Twitter was about it, I kind of just muted Pokemon around like launch because I
yeah,
was like, I don't want to see this anymore. So I'm not exactly sure like what was taken out or what the Switch couldn't handle because it depends on like what they were taking out and what they were trying to do. But a little bit more, transparency with
yeah.
the fan base goes
No,
a
it's definitely
long
true.
way.
True. No,
I
no,
wish they.
definitely true.
I don't know why
Yeah.
these companies don't do that, but
I think like I mean, first and foremost, it's like leaking things is not cute. Um it's like you're yeah, they're a big corporation and yeah, like I don't know, it's like what are you thinking? Like did you think that Nintendo and Pokemon Company weren't going to do anything?
probably.
Yeah,
Hello? Like do you know who you're working for? Like Jesus. Um but like yeah, that's one shitty thing on that side, right? It's like you don't leak things that they have people that they're paying to have like their marketing push, their marketing campaigns, and they're everything has its timing, everything has its thing, and yeah, that's the first thing. And there's a huge problem with consent, obviously, with that of like
yeah,
people's work and blood, sweat, and tears that they put into it being just like announced into the world or showcased into the world without them consenting to it. I think that's very shitty. Does that warrant
no,
$150,000?
No.
No. Especially for the reasonings that they're saying. It's like the damages that came from the game, like as far as like reputation, isn't directly correlated to the case. It's not like people
exactly,
were like,
Right.
oh,
exactly.
the Pokemon game looks disgusting, and it's like, let's say, like a year or two before the game comes out. And it's like, of course, the game is going to look disgusting. Yeah, charge them money because they're going to make you look bad, and it's going to make the company's reputation look bad. But if the issue is like the national dex, for example, not being a thing, what does that have to do with them leaking a couple screenshots from the strategy guide? That to
Right.
me is like where things don't really match and where things don't really make too much sense because I'm like, yeah, sure, like I guess there's a bit of controversy about the game, but also it's not because of the leaks necessarily.
They probably want them.
So,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it's weird. It's weird. They want to blame it on that, and it's like it's definitely it's your fault. You dropped the ball with like you heard feedback before about certain things, and you just were like, we're gonna double down and stick to that, and you just kind of have to deal, right? It's like with I think the a prime example of that is Microsoft with the release of the Xbox One. Like when they released it, all of the stuff that leaked before, they doubled down at the beginning, right? And they were like, yeah, we doubled down and this is how it's going to be and blah 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 blah. And then what they did was they turned around, they said, "You know what? We were wrong." They pulled back on the stuff that they doubled down on, and granted that the console didn't sell as well as they would have liked that generation, but by the end of the Xbox One PS4 generation, they had built a better like brand and brand goodwill with gamers because they were like, yeah, we messed up. Like doubling down on this thing that the ended like that our fans and and people who use our products are upset about. We should have just listened. We could have said, yeah, this is how it's going to be when it releases, but we're going to listen to your feedback and we're going to change it. But they doubled down, got upset. People said, we won't buy your console. They didn't. And then that's what happened. Developers didn't develop for you as much as you would have liked, and now people want Xboxes and Xbox Game Pass because Xbox said we screwed up and we're gonna fix it.
Yeah.
And I think one thing about the I guess why they probably went after them, because here's the thing about leaks that I didn't think about. Usually when leaks happen, they don't know who did it. It's a leak happens, and then the next thing they know, it's out in the wild, but they don't know who did it. In this case, they know who did it, and that could be a big thing as to why they went after them directly compared to where before when leaks happen, it's just, well, that's it, but they don't know who did it, so who are they going to go at? In this case, they know exactly who. So I mean, I still don't think they should be charging that much money, but I mean, considering they know who, I mean, the industry, they're not the biggest fan of leaks. I mean, some of the fans are a fan of leaks. I'm not gonna lie. If it's a season pass that I paid for, I'm okay. I'm a little bit okay with leaks. Kind of. I'm not gonna lie. I like to know what you're trying to charge me for in the future. But I in this situation is like, with them knowing who they are, they're gonna go after them. But usually, anytime there's leaks, there's like who did it, and they don't know. It just it came from somewhere, but not exactly where.
Right. I think this is definitely sending out a message to people, and definitely saying like, hi, if you fuck with us, we're gonna sue you and we will drag you to hell and back. So it's definitely a warning sign for sure, which, I mean, it's their content. It makes sense that they wouldn't want people to leak it. But I think it is a bit excessive. It's not like people were leaking people's personal information or anything wild like that, which that is never okay, obviously. But in a situation like this, it's like, come on, I mean, okay, one of them is like, it was the full last game. So for that, I'm like, okay, y'all are doing too much. But with like the screenshots, I'm like, okay, really? Like, I don't
that
think it's
doesn't
the
bother
same
me.
level of like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But well, that's that.
it is what it is.
It is what it is, y'all. Listen, we have talked about some news and some things like that. So let's talk about what we're up to instead of talking about big companies and what they're up to. You know what I mean? Like, what have y'all been playing? What have y'all been doing? I stare.
Yeah, so I've been playing Dead by Daylight because they added in Resident Evil, and I get to play as Jill Valentine and Claire Redfield because they made a legendary skin. So I run around
Ooh, fierce.
surviving. Yes. And then because they added the Yakuza series to Xbox Game Pass, I have started that. So I am now doing
Ooh.
that, and it is fun. It's very good, and I'm having the time of my life.
Oh,
It's
that's
so much fun.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And then school all the time. Sorry for not being here last week, everyone. My internet said no talking about E3 for you.
Right. Do you wanna we did share a couple of your thoughts on E3, but do you want to share some thoughts on E3?
Let's see. The Xbox conference was my favorite. I'm ready for Redfall, and Bad for
Yes.
Blood is also super exciting. So that's where I'm at. Hi, hello. Oh, and Forza Horizon. Also excited for that. That's gonna be fun. So yeah.
Iconic. What
What
about
about
you,
you, Koga?
Koga? Yep. Jinx.
So I've been continuing Yakuza 5. Oh boy. So I finally got past the part that was kind of like, this is a nosedive. So it's starting to pick up from here, but I really don't understand like why you made me spend like 2-3 hours doing some of this stuff. But I'm past that, so at least getting past that, so that's good. I've been playing Guilty Gear Strive. Now this came out about 2 weeks ago, and it's actually doing the best that Guilty Gear has ever done. It is a fighting game that it got announced like about 2 years ago, and it's a series that's been out since like the late '90s, but it never really picked up. It's been known to be people say it's a good game. The
Yeah.
soundtrack is great, but it didn't always do the best in terms of sales. I know the netcode has been kind of crap until now too, but that's another thing. It uses rollback netcode, thank God. And so if the online experience is good, people so far are really liking the game, so it's doing pretty well. I do like it so far, and there is a story mode, though the story mode it's pretty much like a 4 hour movie. Like you don't fight, you just watch things happen. I have not gone through this entire thing yet, so I'll get to it at some point. But yeah, love it so far. Okay, one more thing.
Yes, get into it.
God!
Yes, the Switch has
Okay,
been acquired.
so y'all
One
know what
of
this
us.
means.
One of us. They're gonna
This-
release the new one now.
yeah, expected announcement by the end of fall. They're gonna do it because they're just gonna be like, all right, it's time. So,
Gamescom in 2 months. You know what I mean?
yeah. So I got this about it arrived like Thursday. I ordered it about was it Monday or Tuesday, and this one it took them a minute to get this one. It's like you could get the Animal Crossing one, but I don't really play Animal Crossing. I don't hate it. I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
And of course, me coming back to Switch, I have found two problems. All these games the full price. And there was a sale though, like this past week. Here's the problem. Since I didn't have a Switch at the time, they didn't let me buy it, anything. It's like, oh, you had to have something
Oh.
connected to it. So I'm like, is Nintendo telling me that no, I can't give them money right now? Yes, that's what they did. So I'm like, no way. And also, I had their online. I hate this. I had their online service, and because I had to sell mine like 2 years ago because I got laid off the same month I was about to move.
That's
So
rude.
I thought that when I got a new one, I renew my membership, and I'd be fine. All of my save data is gone. I have to unlock all the
No.
Smash Brothers characters all over again. I have to start Super Mario Odyssey all over again. I didn't
Are you
start Breath of the Wild, so I don't have to start that over
are you
again.
serious?
Oh
Yes, I have to
Oh my
start
god, not this.
everything all over again. My heart hurts, but it's Nintendo, so I don't know why I'm not. I don't know. Like the Smash Brothers, it doesn't. There is a method to where it doesn't take that long. It's literally a case of pick just custom rules, you and the second player, and keep running across the screen for like 20 minutes. I don't know why it's like that. It goes off of distance, and you do that, and then you can like you after that you'll like fight a character. It's one of the ways to unlock. You fight a character, you beat them, you unlock them. You do it like after a match. For some unknown reason, they have a 10-minute cooldown on this. To get around this cooldown, you have to turn the game off and turn it back on.
Oh my god.
I had to do this like 2 years ago, and I said I'm never doing this again. That was a lie because here I am doing it again.
Oh no. Nintendo said, guess what, Mimi?
It's like, oh my goodness. So yeah, and it's strange going back and like there's a bunch of games that I do want. I still like have like all my games that I had are still there. I did buy Hatsune Miku Project Diva Mega Mix because of course I did. But all these other games are like full price. My roommate wants me to buy Monster Hunter Rise, which I was originally planning on getting on the PC. It's a full $60. The new Mario Golf is a full 60. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, we're back to
Nintendo said
this.
full price. That's what
Look,
you get.
Yeah, like I'm on PC, so you got to understand that when a game comes out, I can get it like pretty much like discounted. Like Guilty Gear just came out, and the deluxe edition is like $85. I got it for 62. This is the type of discounts that I deal with, so I'm not used to. Wait a minute, go to Walmart. It's $10 off at least. Because I mean, but is it still shipping? Because then that and tax. Because I was gonna do that. I was like, okay, $10, but then I looked at it like, so it's $5 less for a physical copy. I'd rather pay the full 60 and just download it. I might get it like at a future point. It's just that there's other stuff I want too, and it's all at maximum price, and I hate it. But on the bright side, I am glad to have a Switch again. It is. I have my protective case supposed to come in today. I did order a Pro controller because The Joy-Con grip is all right, but it's not the most optimal thing. And of course, I did get an Ethernet adapter because I'm not playing on Wi-Fi.
That's
I'm
a
not
good
playing
idea.
Smash on. I'm not playing Smash on Wi-Fi. So I mean, it's overall good. It's a little bit of a downer to have to like start over on a lot of things. But with the games that are coming up, like House of the Dead remake, I really want that. Super Mario, well, the Mario Party Superstars, I want that. Um, there's a lot of stuff coming out that I want. So
Yeah.
at least I'll get to play those and probably add them to my backlog of everything else. But like I said, be thankful. Thank me because a new Switch is going to be announced. And you're not all going to be able to get it because scalpers.
Yeah.
Don't thank me for
Yeah.
that part, though. But thank you for
Yeah, no, no, no.
the new Switch
Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, we're not responsible for that. Only for the announcement. Only for the announcement.
I'll be able to get the new console in 2 years. Great.
Love that. Like
Right.
a few years after getting the PS5, you know what I mean? After we all are able to get the PS5. Um, no, I have just wrapped up my Sega Pride campaign, so I played a little bit of Jet Set Radio. That game was just as fun as it was infuriating. Like I had so much fun, but I also was like, why are you doing this to me? It's yeah, it's so chaotic though, and it's so fun, and you can't really be mad at it. You know what I mean? Like you get annoyed sometimes, but you can't really be mad. So there was that. Loving Sonic Mania. I knew I was gonna love it, and I finally started playing it. And I love it.
Okay.
The mixture of nostalgia with new levels, the music, everything about it is just like chef's kiss. It's so good. And it's another like example of like you take an older game or a game style and you kind of bring it to like with like new technology, and you're like, ooh, like the graphics are just so smooth, and like Sonic is like very like everyone is kind of like not like it's kind of like a pastel tone rather than just like a full on just like boring like blue. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it has like depth to it, the
Yeah.
pixels and stuff like that. Really, really neat. Really, really neat. Um, I've been enjoying a little bit of Final Fantasy. The name is so difficult. It's like Final Fantasy. It's tactics, but it's like free, and there's like gotcha to it, and there's like a Final Fantasy 1 event going on. So I'm trying to get the Warrior of Light to join my team. I know that they're doing a Tomb Raider event. They announced it sometime. Which I'm super excited for. I can't wait to be Lara Croft. Just like everyone else has like a bow and arrow, and like they're doing all of that, and I'm just like, pew pew pew. Love that for me. Yeah, they announced it in the Tomb Raider anniversary stream. They said that they were gonna have a Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions. I think that's what it's called. A collab. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I've been playing that game basically every day. It's really cute. Like I haven't played Final Fantasy Tactics in a long time, so it's a really cute like way of kind of getting back into it. What else have I been doing? I've been doing some TTRPGs. I know it's not like gaming. I don't know if you would consider that gaming, but it's nerdy stuff. So so yeah, I played. I did like an original story with Pants Trebian. We did chaotic D&D, just a one-shot situation. And then today, actually, right before the stream, I played a one-shot of an upcoming game called Ignite, which is all about like you're a track star, like a racing star, and everyone is like you can get into like interpersonal like drama. There's press conferences. There's intrigue. It's so much fun. I had a blast playing it, so I'm definitely excited for that game to come out, and hopefully play it and do a little campaign of it in the future. That would be super fun. I think that's basically it for me. I haven't been doing like a lot of gaming these days. Well, I have a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, let us know what you've been playing, what you've been up to, all of that fun stuff. And yeah, let's talk about where people can find us. Any like things that we want to promote and all that fun stuff. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's start with Koga this time.
Okay. You can find me here and on Twitter at Koga/_Jangles. Should be tomorrow morning doing Sega Saturn Sundays. I may change that to maybe just retro, because eventually I'm going to want to do other things outside of that. Then I can just switch it to Sega. But then you get tired of that, might switch to other things. But regardless, as of right now, it's still going to be Sega Saturn Sunday. That should be tomorrow. I would say in between 8 to 10 o'clock Central. It usually depends on if my roommate gets up and are we going to the store beforehand. So outside of that, not sure. Should be streaming throughout the week. I'm not sure what I'm going to be playing because I now have a bunch of Switch games. So I might be playing Hatsune Miku throughout the week. And I'm still waiting on my Sound Voltex controller to get here, but it's not early July yet. So,
So
but
close.
yeah, hopefully so. Want it. How about yourself, Jam?
You can find me everywhere at jam_5899, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can catch my hot takes on Twitter. I'm
Yeah.
there doing clown things, and then, always talking about coming back, and then, not because I'm a bad streamer.
No.
And then let's see. And you can catch what I'm usually trying to promote at the time, which is usually some like scientific article that someone wrote that I'm like, here, read this thing that you might not understand, but on my streams sometimes we read through them and we talk about how to understand science better. And then
Yeah.
we play Cuphead, making science accessible to everyone because that's how it should be.
Hell yeah. Yeah, please
Yes. What about you?
follow them. Yes. Yes, it's me. My name is Ruby. I go by Project Ruby on most platforms. The Project Ruby on TikTok. Tomorrow, well, of the time of this recording, Sunday the 27th, I'm going to be hosting a panel on queer media featuring Cheritomo, a game designer and writer. We're gonna have Ned, not that's not his name. Ed Nightingale, a video games reporter. We're gonna have Kisos, a musician, and Tiffany Witcher, a voice actor, VTuber, streamer extraordinaire. And we're gonna be talking about queer media because everyone works in different fields in media and they're queer, and we're gonna be talking all about that, their experiences, the industry that they work in, all that fun stuff, and sometimes not so fun stuff that comes with it. But just wonderful conversations right before I take a week off. More info on that on my Twitter. I'm gonna be doing a celebration soon, but I'm gonna take Monday through Friday off, and then I'll be back for our podcast, and then maybe for a very special Sunday stream next week. So we'll see. I'll keep you informed. And I think that's about it. Definitely check out the rest of our wonderful co-hosts who couldn't make it to today's episode. The links are in our descriptions for the podcast services. I guess they're called show notes over there. A description on YouTube, all that fun stuff. The podcast will be out either Monday or Sunday because we're just trying our best. We're just trying to figure out what works for us. We're just finding our rhythm, but it will be up eventually. That's a promise. And we'll be back next week with more wonderful gaming conversations. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a safe and wonderful week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.